Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fernand Sugarto, a student of Bachelor of Economics Study Program, Faculty of Economic, University of Jakarta. On this occasion, I will present my research result about the analysis effect of financial distress, the default, and profitability on going concern public opinion. And this is there is uh, what will be discussed in this presentation. The first research background, and the second research data review. The third is research method, and the fourth is research result, and the last is conclusion. The first is uh, research background. Background is and the COVID pandemic it occurred at the beginning of 2020 made the world economic experience great shock. Aspect economic slowdown and stop when the virus spread through of the world. The economic crisis that occurred in 2020 is even worse than other previous economic crises like 2018 and then 1998. Impact of economic crisis in the world, like in Malaysia, especially from companies. One of the effect corporate sector of is industrial of manufacturing companies, and example of effect company is like a bakery group. It was record the turnover of the company belonging to the bakery group decreased by 21% the third quarter of the 2021. From the explanation above, we need the status of the guarantee that the company can run well within a certain period of time. One of them is a going concern audit opinion. Going concern audit opinion is a audit opinion issued by the auditor because there are major doubts about the entity ability to maintain its viability. Going concern audit opinion is considered as an assumption to invest because creditors are unlikely to invest their fund in companies that are indicated to be bankrupt. The factor of going concern, the first is financial distress, the default, and profitability. The first is financial distress. Financial distress is a condition in which the company operating cash flow is not sufficient to meet its current liability. The phenomenon of the financial distress occurs prior to bankruptcy. The company's financial distress condition is defined as the stage of decline in condition where it experienced negative net profit for several years, and the company operating results are not sufficient to meet the company obligation. The next is debt default, and debt default is a condition in which the company failed to pay the principal or interest debt on to the maturity debt. The default is an indicator of assessment to assess going concern of a company. Next is profitability, and the profitability is a summary of the net. result of the business operating activity in a certain period which is started in the financial term. Profitability is one of the financial indicators used to measure the effectiveness of management in carrying out the company's operational activity based on a level of profit related to uh, related to sales and investment. This is the previous research and hypothesis from based on the my on result of pressure research. The research formulated the following hypothesis like does financial distress affect the going concern audit opinion? Does the default affect the going concern audit opinion? And does profitability affect the going concern audit opinion? The purpose of this research first the analysis of the financial distress on going concern. Uh, this and analyze the influence of financial distress, debt default, and profitability on the going concern audit opinion. And this is one of the benefit, the academic benefit of this research is the author is meant to ingest inside the broader knowledge is related to influence of financial risk sensitivity and profitability on going concern. And from the study majoring in accounting to insight as means of reference knowledge and the next research as means of research reference related of uh, going concern audit opinion and the science is to increase empirical evidence like related to audit opinion going concern. Next is critical benefit. First, for investor to consideration in making decision to invest, so they can be wiser when getting as information contained in the result of study. The second is the company as a contribution to and consideration is providing financial statement information to user of financial statement. Next is literature review. Uh, the first is signaling theory. Signaling theory explains that the company has the view to provide financial statement information to external parties. This signal theory also gives a signal carried out by management to reduce asymmetry information between principal and agent so that the information project is quality and integrated. When concerned audit opinion, according to audit standard, an activity is considered to survive in a business for the future if it can be predicted. When concerned on business continuity, is argument that consider that the business entity will continue in operation from a long time to realize the project commitment and its long activity. Next, financial distress. Financial distress is a condition in which there is a decline in the economic experience by a company that can cause the company to be liquidated or bankruptcy. This causes the company condition to be unhealthy, even experience a sustainable crisis so that it can cause a bankruptcy. Next is the default. The default is company failure to pay the principal interest debt at the due date. the going concern indicator that is widely used by the auditor in giving an audit decision in the decision to fulfill is that decision. That before we be checked by a company if it's unable to pay off the debt in accordance with the special period. This is the profitability. The profitability is summary of the result of business operation in a certain period, expressed in financial terms. Profitability show how company generate profit from the operational activity. Company with high profitability illustrate that the company is going well and can maintain its survival. This is a previous research. Based on previous research and my uh, conceptual framework is formed as a follow like screen, and then hypothesis development. This one is financial distress has a positive effect on the going concern. The default has a positive effect on going concern, and profitability has a negative effect on going concern. And the next is research method. The first is analysis unit. I use the researcher use the sector public company listed on the Indonesian stock exchange, and the population is the industrial sector public company listed in on Indonesian Stock Exchange, and the sample of the Indonesian sector company based on the EDX is 42 companies with a total of 3 years observation. So the total data is 100 to 26 data. Technique used collecting data is a study in is documentation, namely by collecting, recording, and reviewing secondary data in from the annual company annual financial statement and independent auditor reports and published in PDFs or company website. Operationalization of variable. Growing concern audit opinion. The auditor must consider the result of the company operation, economic condition affect the company, the ability to pay obligation and liquidity needs in the future. The going concern opinion variable use the dummy variable with a value of 1 for the company that then the going concern audit opinion and value 0 not to get an audit opinion going concern. Next is independent variable. The conceptual financial research is financial term. The company is used to show a condition when the company has a difficult paying the debt to the creditor. A sign of the company that experience financial difficulty can be seen from their financial statement, where usually financial obligation is greater than wealth. So the company experience financial difficulty and vice versa. This is financial distress is measured by the debt-R ratio, debt to asset ratio. The next is debt default. Debt default is failure to fulfill debt and or interest obligation, which is an going concern indicator that is widely used by arbiter is assigning the affiliability of the company. The default measurement by the current ratio. And the last is profitability. Profitability can also interpret the ability of the company to make a profit in relation sales, total asset, and own capital. Profitability measured by the ROA, return on asset. Data analysis technique. Descriptive statistic analysis. Descriptive statistic are statistics used to analyze data by describing for or describing the data that has been collected as it without the intention of making conclusions that apply to this general public or generalization. The next is logistical regression. Logistic regression, focusing by independent variable combination metric on non-metric, normality test and classical assumption on the independent variable. And this is next is Hausman and Moreno show goodness of fit, and the next is overall model fit. The next is coefficient of determination equal KR square, uh, classical assumption test, and hypothesis test, and test. The next is fourth result. Descriptive data. This industrial sector includes a company that product and service the general gross consumed by industry, not consumed. Product and service products are the final product and service rather than product that must be processed raw material. The data will be tested with the descriptive statistical test that explain the total data held, the average, minimum value, maximum value, and standard deviation. And the study used data uh, based on calculation by SPSS of the descriptive statistic in table 4.1. The going concern audit opinion variable produced an average 1.12. Furthermore, for the standard deviation obtained from the result of the calculation of this descriptive test of 0.325. Financial distress. Uh, Financial distress variable which is proxy by measuring the ratio between total debt and total asset. The average value of the financial distress is 0.5567 with a standard deviation of 0.4607. The lowest value of financial distress is 0.0630, and the maximum value is 2.7587. And for the debt default, the average is the average the average of the default 2.331, and the standard deviation is 4.3954. The lowest value of the debt default 0.0786, and the maximum is 48.1146. And for profitability variable, the average is 0.020 sorry 0.021, and the standard deviation is 0.126. The minimum value of the profitability is 1.5148, and the maximum uh, 0 minimum is minus 0.679 and the maximum is 0.5143. The next is test is multi-collinearity test. Based on the multi-collinearity test result, it can be seen the all variable test have a tolerance value more than 1.0 and FEF value more than 10. So, with this result, it can be concluded that there is no multicollinearity among the independent variables in the regression model. The, the next test is overall model fit. Based on the table, show the company comparison between the value of minus 2 log likelihood on block number 0 and block number 1, the result of the calculation of the value minus 2 log likelihood show that the value of minus log likelihood on block 0 is 95.386 and the block 1 is 47.891 based on the result in table omnibus like there is a decrease 44.0995 which will show the proposed model is a group regression model with a significant level more less than 0.05. The second difference of the like look log likelihood with a statistical significance value show that adding the variable into the model will improve the fit of model. Next is Hosmer and Lemma show of goodness of fit. This is test whether the empirical data match. Assessing the feasibility of the regression model can be regression model can be done by observing Hosmer and Lemma show goodness of fit as measured by t-square in the Hosmer Lemma show column. Is t-square less than 0 0.05, the H null H0 is rejected, which means there is a significant difference between the model and the observed value. So the goodness of it model is not good because the model cannot predict the value of observation. Uh, Based on table, we show the test value is 11.238 and the significance 0.0189. Based on the present hypothesis submission saying the test result of the significant greater than 5% indicate that H0 is accepted and the logistic regression model feasible to be used for the next analysis. The next analysis is logistic regression analysis. Based on the result, we know that explained that financial distress coefficient is 5.933. It shows that every time it this show that every time there is increase the financial result will other variable are zero, it will increase going concern audit opinion accepted by 5.9, and the default coefficient is minus 0.008. uh, Show that every time when increase of in the default while other variable is zero, it will reduce the accepted of going concern audit opinion by 0.008. The profitability coefficient is 1.991. The coefficient shows that every time there is an increase in profitability while other variables are zero, it will decrease of the accepted of the going concern audit opinion amounted to 105 10991. Based on the result of the logistic regression test in the table, it can be seen that the regression model formed between the dependent variable is going constant audit opinion and the independent variable consisting of financial distress, default, and profitability are like in the screen. The next is hypothesis test. Based on the result, based on the result, and table, the test of the financial distress variable show the positive regression coefficient with a significance level is 0.004, which is smaller than significant 5%, which means H1 is accepted. And the debt default is negative, uh, a negative coefficient, and significant level is 0.981, more than 5%, and which greater than which means H2 is rejected. And the last is profitability, negative coefficient, and which significant level for is 0.780, 0.705, and means hypothesis 3 is rejected. The next is coefficient determination test. Based on the table 4.7, can be seen that the value of natural key R square is 0.570, which means that the variability of the dependent variable that can be explained by the independent variable is 57%, with the remaining 43% is explained by auditor variable outside the research model. Based the result of test, we know the financial distress has no significant positive effect on going concern. Uh, Going concern audit opinion, H1 is accepted, but the deep default and deep default does not significant negative effect on the going concern audit opinion, and like H2 hypothesis 2 rejected. And the last profitability has a negative and insignificant effect on the going concern audit opinion, and H3 is rejected. The last part is conclusion. The conclusion is financial distress has a positive and significant effect on the going concern audit opinion, and the debt default has a negative and insignificant effect on going concern audit opinion. And the last profitability negative significant effect on the going concern audit opinion. Implication for students and science as means to broaden their horizon and additional scientific reference, especially relating to accepted of going concern audit opinion. For the company that has obtaining a going concern audit opinion, they can improve their financial condition every year. And last, for investor, the research can be used the consideration of in deciding investment policy. Limitation of research. The first, the data used in the form of secondary data, so that the analysis of the data used is very dependent on the result of the publication, namely financial statement, where each company has different policy. The second is the sample use only use industrial sector company listed on the Indonesian stock exchange. The result of study cannot be generalized of other type industry. And the recommendation for future research, adding other variables to measure the effect on going concern audit opinion include leverage, firm size, and firm growth. Using other proxy for measuring financial distress and debt default. And the last, editing data, the form of additional company sector as object of the research or increasing the observation period. Thank you. This is my presentation. If there are shortcomings, please forgive me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.